So what could happen in terms of the real estate market if we get some property tax relief, or if we get some interest rate drops, or if we get Washington to get some consistency and stabilization in the tariff war so that the stock market isn't rising and falling? I'm Andrew Duncan with the Duncan Duo team at LPT Realty, and I look at the statistics every single month to analyze what's going on in our market. We have a lot of things that are holding our market back right now and keeping it slower than we would like it to be. Fewer home sales, lower prices, homes taking longer to sell. All of those things are the result of high interest rates, storms that hit here in the third and fourth quarter of last year, and the economic policies presently happening in Washington and Wall Street. The long-term benefits of a lot of the trade things I certainly do see. I believe that there is a lot of good to be had from what is being done. However, the inconsistency of the messaging, the up and the down, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that causes the fluctuations in the stock market, causes fear from people. It causes people to sit on the sidelines. Buying a home for people is a very emotional process. So what is happening with the tariff stuff is certainly holding our real estate market back and causing fear. Interest rates being, high, even though we've got some relief here and there and they've ebbed and flowed, they're hovering in the high sixes, low sevens. That's still high compared to what we had a few years ago when we saw stuff in the 3 and 4s. It may be a long time before we ever see 3 and 4% interest rates, but if we can start to see high 5s, mid 5s, high 4s, over the next few years, that is when economists and a lot of real estate experienced analysts believe we'll see a swing back in our real estate market where we start seeing appreciation, increase in home sales, and all of the things, all the relief that is holding our market back. It's high interest rates, it's the up and down of the tariff market, it's the storms, and the last wild card. A couple months ago, Governor DeSantis tweeted on X, or he X'd on X. I don't really know how to say it. I'm just going to say he tweeted on X that he wanted to abolish property taxes in Florida. Now, if property taxes get abolished in Florida and they move the burden of cost to other things, sales tax, tourism tax, other types of taxes to make up for that revenue, we will definitely see a massive pop in our real estate market in terms of values, in terms of demand, in terms of people moving here, because property taxes are much more substantial than insurance costs. And there are a lot of people that aren't buying or moving because of how high our insurance costs have gone. And secondly, I did the math on this for the average home, for the most expensive home, all the way down to the entry-level starter homes. And an elimination of property taxes would be comparable to payments for home buyers going back to what they were when we saw the record low interest rates during COVID. If we were in our state to abolish property taxes, we would see a massive influx of buyers able to qualify, a massive influx of people wanting to move here because they're tired of paying property taxes wherever they are. We would see a very quick turnaround, appreciation, increased home sales, and we would be back to seeing bidding wars, homes above asking, all that kind of stuff. Now, whether or not that happens, it's hard to predict. There are politicians I've spoken to that believe that some version of that has a chance at hitting the ballot box and it needs a 60% vote by the public. Well, if we know that 50% of people are homeowners, the likelihood is that the majority of those are going to vote in favor of not having to pay more money. Some of them won't, but certainly the majority of those. And then, of course, there's enough people involved in construction, real estate, mortgages that know that that would have a positive impact on their income. I think there's a reasonably good chance that it passes. Now, whether or not, local governments can survive if that happens is another question. So I think there'll be some sort of jockeying back and forth, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something on the voter record, an amendment to our Constitution that goes something along the lines of, maybe for homestead people only, maybe not for institutional investors, maybe not for people above a certain price point, maybe not for commercial properties. And either way, something as massive as that would still have a hugely positive impact on our market. Now, if they just give, $500 off or $1,000 off, I'm sure a lot of homeowners are going to appreciate saving some money on their property taxes. But in order to have the swing back in our market, and who knows whether that is warranted or local senators, congressmen, and governor want that, who knows? There is at least some momentum to believe that that could happen. So there are people speculating, and investors and hedge funds starting to look very advantageously at Tampa Bay again to try and get ahead of that. Because, of course, if that happens, prices are going to spike again. So there are people, smart analysts, smart money, jumping in now saying we want to get in now because the buying opportunity is great. We can get a good deal because we think there's a good chance of this happening a year down the line. So that happens and our market is going to see a surge. If that doesn't happen, I still think we're going to see a reasonably decent recovery and later in the year, assuming no major storms, simply because more of the flooded houses get cleaned out, more people move in, more people move out. Kind of the top of mind awareness of those storms starts to wear off. And then, of course, hopefully the tariff battles stabilize and the stock market stabilizes some. And then last but not least, we get some interest rate relief. So all those things happen and we should see some positive signs of improvements in our real estate market later in the year. Of course, the more that the abolishment of property taxes, the more momentum it gets, the greater the chance for a massive upward swing in real estate values in Tampa Bay.